Right, let's go, mate. Let's see if we can entertain a few people for the next hour. I've got a glass of red. What are you on?
Just a bit of squash, mate.
Yeah.
Blackcurrant squash.
Yeah, just keeping hydrating. Yeah, like the athlete that you are.
Yeah, Temple.
Wonderful. Right, listen, mate. I think we'll do. I'm going to play. Was it Eamon Andrews? You're probably a little bit too old for that. This is your life, so I think we'll take you back a few years, see where you're at, and I'm getting messages on my phone now talking about my hair from people. That's all a little bit worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, that's terrible. But it's probably well deserved, especially with that hairstyle at the minute. But I'm sure you'll get it sorted very soon. I think you said.
You know what?
I think you said.
I reckon there's people on this call, and I can't see anybody, but I reckon that as someone who's over 40 and has got this like that, I reckon there's a few jealous people, and I reckon I'm still going to have plenty of hair when I'm into my 70s, 80s. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, listen, let's go back to childhood. So, obviously, I'm aware of where mum and dad are both from. And I know that you're also very, very proud of your heritage. So give us a little bit of a flavour of what life was like for up to probably about 12 years old.
So I was born in Philippines in 1999 to English dad and a Filipino mum. My mum and dad met in Hong Kong, but I was born in Philippines, where I grew up till I was around 7 or 8 years old. And my memories from there were a lot of barefoot running around, playing football, rugby, even cricket in the hot weather. Remember going down to our local sports club, Manila Nomads, and watching my mum and dad play. My mum played touch just socially because she wanted to get involved. And my dad played a lot of rugby over there. He actually represented Philippines and Hong Kong, which he still holds against me now, that he's a dual international and I'm not an international, but I hope I can get him one day. And then, yeah, so those are kind of the key memories. I got two younger brothers who were both as well born in Manila, Philippines, and we had a brilliant upbringing and brilliant lifestyle there with, as many of you probably know, having been to Asia. And for me, I hold it very close to my heart. I love the lifestyle. I love the way people were over there, very friendly, very happy to meet people. And I'm still lucky I can just about understand the language, which is a big benefit whenever I try and go back and to see my family and stuff. Then at around 8 years old or 9 years old, I moved to Singapore. My dad got moved on a job to Singapore, and I moved there with my brothers and my family. And that's kind of where I found the love for rugby and the love for other sports. I used to prefer my football growing up. My mum was very big into making me a footballer for one reason or another. She had a couple ideas, actually. Originally, it was to make us like the Jonas Brothers. So she tried to make us do different instruments each, which didn't last too long. She pushed it for a couple of years, but yeah, as I said, it didn't last too long. But yeah, those are the years I really, really remember and cherish. There were some brilliant memories. We used to go on tours to Australia, Malaysia, and stuff like that. With a Singapore team that was full of expats, and we used to love it. My parents used to get involved. I think my dad coached me for a couple of years until he sent me off in a training game, and which rattled me. So I told him to leave. But yeah, those days were brilliant, and they definitely hold a place close to my heart. And yeah, I'm very proud to say I'm from Philippines, and I'm very proud to have said I've grown up in Asia because it's very different to here.
So you talk fondly of your mum, and she obviously sort of pushed you towards, I don't know, potentially being a footballer. And bearing in mind, I've seen you play football. That's a hell of an ambition on your mum's part. But,
No.
you know, we'll go there a little bit later on, maybe. And obviously, you know, you mentioned the Jonas Brothers there. So, you know, your mum's ambition, is that something that sort of, it resonates with you and still drives you now?
Yeah, massive. My mum's a very ambitious woman. The Filipino culture is very ambitious, and she's not pushy because that has negative connotations, but she drives us to achieve our very best in whatever we do, whether that's football, rugby, cricket, talent shows at school. We used to get pushed a lot to practice and train whatever skill, even our languages that we used to learn as young kids. And we used to have loads of arguments with my mum, especially my youngest brother, Tom. But I think as you get older, you realize that she's only doing it from a good place in her heart. She wants her sons to be the best at everything they put themselves to. And I think that's, for me, something that I've carried with me as I've started my short career with Harlequins. And it's something that I hope I never lose, because it's a big part of me as a person, and it's a big part of me as a rugby player as well. Yeah, but yeah, my mum's a special woman.
No, I'd agree with that. I know your mum reasonably well, and she's a bit of a legend. So yeah, no, that's fair. But I thought it would be a nice opportunity for you to talk about your mum there in terms of that sort of what she brings for you. So I'm going to ask you this question probably 3 or 4 times during what we do. But at this point, when you've got to Singapore and you're playing quite a lot of rugby, is there any time during this period where you think, I'm actually quite good at this? This is something that I'd like to do for my future, or is this still just fun at this point?
For me, as I said, and I disagree with you when you said that you watched me play football. I genuinely believed I could play football, and I backed myself at football mainly. But rugby was a hobby at the time, and for me, it was one of them things that my dad, being much more heavily into rugby, being a proud Englishman, he used to keep me up at ridiculous hours in Singapore and Philippines watching England rugby games and stuff like that. So yeah, it was obviously a big family thing for me, but it wasn't probably until I got into England 16s where I thought I could give it a serious crack and give it a go. And I was getting a bit of love from Harlequins as well at that time, when I started to believe that I could do it. But yeah, when I was a lot younger, it was a lot of it was for fun, spending it in the sun with my close mates, and then having a nice barbecue after, and probably eating a little bit too much. But yeah, a lot of it back then was for fun and enjoyment, which I certainly had loads of that.
Oh, fantastic, cool. Listen, let's move on a little bit from there then. So Singapore finishes somewhere in there. You've all moved across to England. What did that look like? And obviously, I know you ended up at Brighton College, which has a fairly decent reputation for producing rugby players. So how did that come about, and how did you end up at Brighton?
Yeah, so my dad is from Brighton himself, so he grew up there and then left to Asia when he was around 18, 19. Just wanted to get away and try something new. So when we moved back at 13 or 14, I think I was, the thing that, so I used to come back to Brighton and Kent, where my grandparents live, once a year. My dad would try and take us back. So I had some memories of England, and I had some thoughts of what it would be like. Hello? Yeah, I had some thoughts of what it would be like. But I remember moving back, and it was like September time, and just before school term started, and it was real cold, real wet, dark at like 6 in the morning, and dark at 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. And I remember looking to my mum and my brothers and saying, "What have we done here? We've moved to a country where it's more dark than bloody light." But yeah, I got used to it pretty quick. And I think for me, the biggest thing not I was worried about was that I left a lot of my friends back in Singapore, and it's obviously at an age where I've built some good friendships from 8 or so to 13. But I knew I had to start that again. So that's something I was a bit nervous about, and having an American accent would back then as well. I don't know what my accent's like now, but I don't think it sounds like some of my other teammates. But that also worried me a little bit, and just the culture change, because Asia's a very I was very privileged and lucky to have a very good upbringing in Asia, where we had people at home helping us and my family, whereas here we had to do it ourselves. So I remember my mum and dad telling me to do the washing and stuff, and I was probably behind people of the similar age group here in England. I had no clue what to do with my washing, and no clue what to do with in the kitchen sort of thing, and pretty much useless. So I had to get used to that quick, and then obviously the weather's a big difference over in Asia. I had to get used to that quick. I was wearing gloves and scarves a lot of the time, and thick socks and thermals, whatever they're called. My dad made me wear them, but yeah, it was good memories, and we settled in pretty quickly. Us three at Brighton College. It's a brilliant school, and I think sport helped us big time with settling in, because all three of us aren't too bad at sport.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty amazing thing at school. I mean, I genuinely, sometimes it's bizarre not actually being able to see all the people that are listening to us here, but I remember personally going to boarding school, and I had no idea what I was going to, but I think that culture shock that you had, and the just simply moving countries at such a sort of a formative age. Do you think it taught you skills, from that age of sort of 13, 14, that you're still using now to be able to get yourself through rugby matches, even, that resilience, that having to sort of look after yourself, and, whilst they're not comparable, they're still skills that you're using now?
No, 100%. I think obviously moving around a lot, I'm used to getting to know people again, and that was pretty daunting, stepping into the Harlequins change room at 18 years of age. And then again, throwing myself in, or John Kingston throwing me in at the doubleheader a couple of years ago, and me having to deliver messages to guys who I idolize and look up to. So yeah, I think it has helped a little bit. Probably a lot of it subconsciously is ingrained in me, having experienced those experiences. But and as you said, like resilience, obviously it's any change is tough. I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing change at this time with COVID and the way the workplace is now. My dad always tells me about it. But yeah, it's obviously one of them things that will help me in rugby, my resilience, and dealing with issues and problem solving and meeting new people, hopefully in new environments, on an international stage and beyond for me, which are my ambitions.
Oh, fantastic. Listen, take us through school a little bit, because there comes a point where, as you say, you sort of Harlequins, are knocking on the door reasonably quickly at, I don't know, 15, 16 years old. When does that priority move, and how, in your own mind, England 16s is a reasonably significant step for anybody, because not many people get to do it, and obviously less even make it into that professional ranks. But is there a shift in your mind where you think, well, hang on, I can do this, but at the same time you're doing GCSEs and A levels, and how do you manage those priorities and expectations, whereby you're thinking, hang on, I might be able to do this. I'm England 16s, then England 18s, and all of a sudden, you might be getting offered a contract by Harlequins, but over here somewhere, somebody's saying, you still need to get your A levels, mate.
Yeah. So for me, I guess going to a school like Brighton College, I was pretty lucky, because I remember our head of rugby, Mr. Boy, said to me when I was 15 or 16, just before this Southeast stuff and North stuff started, he said, you need to sort your work out, otherwise you won't be playing on the weekend. And I think that gave me a kick up the backside to get that part of my life right. I'm not stupid, but I think for me that I was a bit lazy at school. But I think that kick up the backside kind of got me in gear to get my work done in the week, so that I could enjoy weekends and play as well as I can, as a sort of release, and training as well in the week would break up the week and get me outside the classroom, and doing something that I really wanted to do. And as you said, G, I think I did get excited at points. I think it's natural to look too far ahead at 16, as you said. When I played for England 16s, I was like a rabbit in headlights, sort of my first taste of international rugby, my first taste of being in camp. You suddenly are out of school for a couple of weeks, and you kind of forget realities in a way. However, Brighton College, again, as I said, were brilliant in keeping me grounded and keeping me on track, that I had to get my A levels and get my GCSEs. But as well as that, my mum and dad, and especially my mum, was pretty hot on me on my grades. And I was lucky. I had a good support network around me at school and at home to sort myself out. And then even the Quins coaches at the time in the academy, EPDG, in the junior elite group, I remember saying to me, if you need to miss the odd training session to sort your work out, don't worry, we won't think any less of you. And I think that's a big thing with rugby. I know the guys in my age group weren't pushed to do anything that they didn't want to do in terms of training wise, that they were always encouraged to keep something open off the field, because we know as rugby players we're one injury away or one training session away from touchwood ending your career, which obviously no one wants to think about, but it's the reality of it. And as I said, I was lucky that I had a good group of people around me.
So let's go a little bit further into that, because I'm quite interested in it. So I obviously kind of started getting to know you at that point, and I've seen you, grow to where you are now. But some of the boys that were back there in that sort of 16, 17 group, I know your parents, and I know how fortunate you are, that they're such good, strong supports in your life. What mistakes potentially did other people make at that point in time who maybe haven't even made it? And clearly I wouldn't want you to name names because it's not fair, but I think it would just give people a feel for potentially some of the pressures that start coming on at that point in your life, whereby, people are maybe thinking, you're going to get a professional contract as a professional rugby player, and look, and even sort of pressures from parents. So what does that look like as you start heading through those age groups, whereby expectation starts to happen as well? What does that feel like, and how do you get through it with the support systems that you have in place, and maybe sort of articulate maybe what a few boys are feeling like, maybe who you're even in contact with now who maybe haven't made it, and a few of the reasons why?
Yeah, so obviously at that time, as I said, that's sort of when the representative stuff starts, and England 16s and divisional trials, and then county trials are alongside it. And then you want to play in the big tournaments for schools. So obviously there's the balance of academics versus rugby. And obviously back then, at the time, being 15 or 16, rugby's not your life yet. Rugby's not your career. So as I said, you've got to keep both sides open on the field and off the field. And then also like not mistakes, but like it's obviously you got to put yourself through a lot. I don't think people realize that the sacrifices you have to make to get it at 18. It's not as easy as turning up on a Saturday and winning your school game on the weekend and going home and doing it again on the weekend. I think the way school rugby is going and the way I know it wants to go, it's pretty high level of sport, and it's one of them things that like they teach you at a young age. You can't really be going out parties, and sadly that's the age where parties start happening, house parties start happening, where you get exposed to alcohol at a young age. And for me, like I didn't drink until I was 18, which was very different to some of my teammates at the time, very different to my school mates. And it was one of them where I was happy to live that way. And I'm very grateful and lucky I chose those choices back then, because I don't think I'll be here today if I didn't. But then alongside that, obviously there's pressures as you go up the ranks. And for me, I was lucky enough to play for the North under 16s and then England under 16s. There's pressures from your club. Your club are expecting you to improve, so they send you text messages all the time through the week. Your school coach wants you to improve. Your teacher sending you an email to get your homework in on time. Your mum and dad is telling you different things. So obviously there's a lot on the plate. But again, it goes down for me. I was lucky I had a brilliant family. I was lucky I had some brilliant people at school, some brilliant people at Quins who I could talk to and vent if I needed to, and also get some advice, because I know full well I wasn't the only one going through those issues. And there were definitely guys, even ages above me at Brighton College, who were in the same boat. James Chisholm was in the same boat. So I learned, I guess I used my contacts to try and learn. My dad used to speak to Pete Chisholm, James's dad, around different things. And then as you get older, obviously agents start coming in. They want to talk to you. They want to meet you, and you're still at school. You're trying to still enjoy your rugby. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of pressures, and sacrifices you have to make. But I guess one message for me is it's definitely worth it. I'm very lucky and grateful that I'm in the position I'm in now, and I'm very happy, as I said, to have taken those decisions, and I can live with that.
Oh, perfect. Well, lovely answer. So, 18 years old, you've got your you've been given your contract a little while before, and you've been fortunate to come into contact with me, obviously.
Oh gosh. For sure.
But I'm just, I mean, look, there are not many Marcus Smiths around in terms of, you went from arriving in July, and I'm going to say 2018. Is that right?
No, 2017.
2017. Sorry. There you go. I'm all over the place. And within 2 months, approximately 2 months, somebody said, "Go on, kid, off you go. You're running out with the boys on Saturday at Twickenham." Just give us a little bit. I mean, look, the thing is I'm so used to it that it's probably just a little bit. I kind of know the feeling, and I probably just give you a little bit of a nudge and a wink and smile at you and go on, off you go. You're absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. But just give us a little bit of what that feels like.
Yeah, obviously I came into the Quins setup, as you said, G, at 18, and I still remember my first day getting told to stand up at the front of the meeting room and introduce myself and tell a funny story, and I was definitely very nervous. But for me, I didn't really get nervous when I was on the training field. I don't really know how to describe it, but I generally feel not at home on the training field, but I love being on the field, and I love challenging myself against the best players I could ever challenge myself against. So even when I was at school, I was lucky enough to train with the England rugby team when they came down to Brighton College. When I was still at school, I remember finishing an exam and joining them for training. And again, like it might sound weird, but I wasn't really nervous. I was more excited at the opportunity. I was more looking forward to it. And then again, as you said, G, I was lucky enough to come into a change room where there was full of experienced players. I had Danny Kerr to my right and Jamie Roberts to my left, two guys who've obviously done it all in the international game and in the club game, and they put their arm around me, and even Brownie from the back put their arm around me ever since then, and have kind of told me to just back myself and enjoy myself and play with a smile on my face. And that's kind of what I've tried to do. And I think the biggest conversations that kind of made me relax a little bit and settle in was like from people like Joe Marler, Carl Sinclair, and the forwards who I didn't really train with much in the early days in pre-season, saying, "Marcus, whatever you say, we'll do." And to have that sort of confidence given to you at a young age, knowing that guys that you idolized are happy to take orders from you as being a fly half, was definitely very helpful. And then John Kingston at the time, who was brilliant to me and was a brilliant coach for me, was very good and gave me my opportunity. He said I deserved the opportunity. I was very grateful for that. And I remember playing, obviously it was a double header at Twickenham, and I had 20 or so people there. And it was a brilliant day, even though the result didn't go our way. It's definitely a day I'll never forget. And as you said, G, I think for me, I was obviously hoping that I'd play for the first team when I was 20, 21, but for it to happen so fast and so soon after I finished school was massively exciting. And it kind of whet my appetite to hopefully get many more. And I've been lucky to play a few more games since then. So yeah, it was a brilliant journey, and it happened so fast, which I think was the biggest shock for me.
So give us a little insight. I mean, look, when you roll into town, I don't mind telling you this because I think we've probably had these conversations anyway. Just I don't think anybody had ever seen anybody pass like that, and you were only 18, and obviously that's something that's just a practice skill. And whilst we both know you've worked pretty hard on your kicking game over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, that ability to pass and run and get you into a position where you're making a Premiership debut at 18 years old, especially in such a pivotal position as 10, it's almost unheard of. What got you to that place? Like, were you unbelievably dedicated as someone who practiced? Is it all natural ability? Is it a mix? Like, where does that come from? Because it's a special talent, and I think people are probably quite interested in what it is and how you got to that point.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I'm a big believer that you work for everything you get, and I think I would say I've been blessed with some natural talent. However, I did try and harness that talent, and I still am trying to harness that talent to the best of my ability. I remember doing kicks for hours on end and passing for hours on end after I did my homework, or after I pretended I finished my homework across the road. Just because I loved it, and I just enjoyed being outside, passing and dummying with my dad and my brothers as well. And yeah, I did spend a lot of hours on a training field, but in all sports as well. Like, I used to practice my football as much as my rugby, and cricket as much as my rugby and football. But I think being at Brighton College, again, as I said, who exposed me to top level rugby at a young age, opened my eyes at sort of different players, and definitely in the southeast, and then at national tournaments against players from across the country. So I'm being a very competitive person. If someone did something that I couldn't do, or if someone beat our team, for example, I would take it personally, and I would do everything in my ability to make sure it wouldn't happen to me again personally, and also wouldn't happen to our team again. So again, I took a lot of pride in my school team, and I took a lot of pride in trying to be the best player I can be and be the best player on the pitch. So yeah, I guess I did practice a lot. Yeah, and I still am. I'm obsessed with rugby, and yeah, I actually love practicing, so it's good.
I mean, look, I know you hate losing now, because I kind of watch you on the field when things aren't going very well, and there's, petulant's the wrong word, but you sort of, you have that frustration when things aren't going well. How have you learnt to sort of deal with that as the general on the field, within that adult space?
Yeah, I guess relying on conversations I had even when I was 18, like the forwards, as I said, Joe Marler, Carl Sinclair, and Dave Ward as well, putting their arms around me and saying, we back whatever decision you make. For me, that made me grow an inch or so and put my chest out, because if these guys can back me, then a lot of the team would have backed me. So I still hold on to that conversation that I had at a young age. But also I've been working hard on regulating my emotion and regulating myself, because I'm a highly emotional person, and I've had to do a lot of work on breathing, a lot of work on meditating, so that in pressure moments, I can kind of hold my cool and keep my cool. I'm still not perfect. I'm not there yet. I still get very frustrated, but I'm definitely working on it. And I think it's something that hopefully over the next few years can take me to the next level, because yeah, it's a key thing for a person in my position, for sure, especially in tight games. And I think we've experienced that as a group, and me personally in the last couple of weeks, probably the hard way on the field, but we've definitely taken a lot of learnings from it. And I'm not going to say it's never going to happen again, because it probably is, but I'll keep learning from those sort of experiences, as hard as they are to take. But yeah, I guess it comes down to experience and doing things off the field to kind of set you up on the field.
Oh, perfect. Right, I want to run into a couple of coaches that we both have experienced fairly significantly over the last 4 years of you being at the club. So, look, I class John Kingston as a personal friend. So he's an absolute legend in my world. He's such a good human being. But what did he bring to Marcus Smith?
Yeah, he was massive for me. For me, he's I'm never going to lose contact with John. He's the man who gave me my first opportunity in professional rugby. He got on well with my parents, which was massive for me. And yeah, he made me feel very, very special very quickly, which I really, really enjoyed and really liked. The way he gave me so much confidence, as I just said, at a young age, made me very comfortable in that environment. I think he made it very easy for me to step in to play at Temple Harlequins. Again, it's just the way he managed, in my opinion. Managed people in the group, and the way he got the best out of me was unbelievable and something I've never experienced before. Yeah, so he's been brilliant for me.
And we move on one more step. So again, like for me personally, Guzzy came in and shook the tree to a certain extent. I think that's what he was asked to do. And things haven't gone perfectly. But he certainly brought a bit to the group. Like, what did he bring to you as an individual? But probably as much as anything, what did you learn from the experience of having him as your head coach?
Yeah, again, Guzzy was good for me as well. I think he brought a different sort of edge to it. He obviously, being a northern man himself, he's very direct and straight to the point, like Graeme is. But yeah, he's obviously a brilliant defense coach, and for me at the time, that was a big thing that I need to improve on. That was a big thing I was getting told I need to improve on. So at the time, he was great. We did loads of drills together. We went through loads of clips about the best tacklers, the best ways to rip the ball, the best ways to go for interceptions. So his attention to detail in defense was brilliant. Yeah, and again, he got the best out of me. He knew pretty quickly that to get the best out of me, you got to challenge me, and he definitely challenged me in different ways, which was enjoyable. We had some good, honest conversations, which I enjoy, and yeah, I'll speak to Guzzy once in a while moving forward as well, for sure, to get some ideas and different tips.
So I'm going to go to one of the questions that we got in the chat, because now's probably the time to head to it. And I think we managed to have a little bit of a laugh over the weekend. The fact that I got caught out by some random journalist who I went to school with, who questioned me about you and Eddie. And whilst I said something in jest and managed to get quoted on it, it's all part of the fun, isn't it? But I think I watched your first game for England, which was unfortunately not a cap. But obviously you had a pretty good game that day. But what's sort of happened for you over the last few years within that England space? Because I know that it's a huge ambition of yours, and yet you're probably prepared to be patient because of the situation that you're in. So what's your take on it, and where are you with it?
Yeah, obviously it's a big dream of mine and an ambition to play for England. Not just now, but for the next 10 years, 12 years. I'm desperate for that. And yeah, I've been lucky again. I've had a taste of being in camp. I've had a taste of representing England 15 against the Barbarians, which was again a brilliant experience with some good mates of mine. Don Brandt and Joe Marchant as well were there, and even playing against Marler and Horwell was again a great experience. And obviously, as I just said, I did a lot of training camps in my first year and my second year. And then I haven't sort of kicked on from there. So I know personally the things I needed to work on. I've had constant communication from Eddie in the last 3 or 4 years, which has been good honest feedback, demanding feedback, which I needed at the time. And for me, I know full well what I got to do. And what I got to keep doing to hopefully get my first cap very soon. And as I said, yeah, I'm desperate for it. So I've got to keep working hard and got to keep putting in the performances for Harlequins, which will hopefully put me in the in the shop window to get an opportunity. But yeah, it's been good communications recently, which has been nice. But I know I still got a lot of work to do. I've got to overtake some brilliant fly-halves. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do for sure.
I'm pleased that I've taught you such diplomacy over the last 3 or 4 years. I like that. That's nice.
Diplomacy.
So, listen, talk us through. Let's keep it reasonably short, because otherwise we won't have any time for questions. But what's your best memories over the last 3 or 4 years? I mean, you've managed 100 just in the last few weeks, which at 22 is pretty incredible. But what are the memories that really stick out for you, in that period of time?
As I said, my debut against Irish at Twickenham. A lot of my friends and family were there. As I said, we had 20 or so people in 2 different boxes at Twickenham, which was brilliant. And even though the result didn't go our way, just the warm up, just the walk across from the stoop, just the build up in the week really was massively exciting, and it whet my appetite to get many more appearances. And then the obvious ones like big game, both of them. Actually, how many have I played? 2. No, 3.
3.
3. Yeah, all 3 I've played.
No, we didn't have one this last year.
2, I think.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, both the ones I've played have been brilliant. I think the one that's 3. I've played Northampton, Wasps, and Leicester.
Leicester, yeah, that's right. 3. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, the first one was probably the best one for me. Romping against Northampton, which was nice, at Twickenham again, and I had loads of my friends and family there, and being so close to Christmas, obviously I enjoyed that Christmas celebration with my family, but I enjoyed it more after we beat Northampton that day, and that night I definitely enjoyed with my family. And then away games in Europe, like Clermont in the Challenge Cup semi, where we should have won and we bottled it. That was a big one. I enjoyed that atmosphere. I enjoyed how the crowd got on top of me as a kicker and us as a team. I enjoyed the drums when we were warming up. It was such a brilliant atmosphere that makes you want to play in the European competition many more times, and hopefully we can get some good results against them in the future. And then beating Sarries anytime that I've done that. I've done it I've been lucky enough to do it a couple times, and it's been brilliant. Yeah, so I guess those are probably my top 5 sort of memories.
How much are you looking forward to crowds coming back?
Oh, big time. It's not the same at the minute. I think we are lucky. We're in a privileged position to be playing rugby, to be playing professional rugby, and to be doing it as our job. However, I remember going to the stoop as a kid a couple of times only, but I remember going to football games as a kid and used to love it. And I know how much my parents and family love it, and I'm sure the supporters and the fans of Harlequins love it as well, and you guys love it. Yeah, but for me, as a guy who loves to play up to the crowd, I enjoy the warm up when everyone's standing around the field, drinking their beers and singing songs and not really watching us, but just having a great day. And for me, just the constant buzz around the stadium is brilliant. And even post game when we have to walk across the field and say hello to everyone. Hopefully everyone's happy after we win, but sometimes there's some honest words. But I guess that's what makes it so enjoyable to play. And yeah, the roar of the crowd is definitely something you enjoy, especially if you score a nice try or if you close out a big game at home under lights at the stoop. It's a special feeling, and I can't wait. And I know the players, my teammates as well, can't wait to have everyone back. It will be, I'm sure the first game back will be very loud.
Cool, right. So we've got a question just come in. How do you feel Quins are doing this season? But I think that probably sort of hopefully leads on to, what the next few seasons might look like and kind of what the ambitions of the group are.
Yeah, so I think this season we've turned a corner as a group. I think Sadly, we lost a man in camp in Guzzi, and I think that gave us a kick up the backside as a group, as a 50-man squad, and as a coaching staff. I think they've improved a lot since he's left. I think the backroom staff, everyone at the club's pretty committed to put this club where we believe it belongs. I think all of us at the club love Harlequins, love going to work now, which is an added bonus, especially in these tough times during COVID. But yeah, I think we have turned a corner. Obviously, the last couple of weeks have been a bit disappointing, but we're desperate to get it back on track. And what an opportunity we have this weekend at home against Worcester, which will be a tough game. But I'm certainly confident we can get the job done this weekend, and we're one step closer to the playoffs. But yeah, we've still got loads to work on, and I think that's the most exciting thing. We obviously this turn in form has been a sort of, again, it's happened so quickly. So for us, it's about longevity and not just doing it this season, but doing it for many years to come. We've got a brilliant young group of guys, as I just said, who are desperate to be at the club and want us to do well. So hopefully we can learn from the senior boys in their from all their experiences over the years, and hopefully they play with us for many more years to come. But as everyone gets older, they're getting older as well. So we've got to fill their shoes in years to come. But they've been brilliant to us this year in teaching and supporting us how to run a club and how to drive standards. So hopefully we can do that as the younger members of the squad in years to come.
Cool. Next question. I don't know whether it's for me or for you, but it says, would Graeme ever leave Quins?
No chance.
Hey, don't be so sure.
No chance Graham's leaving Quins.
Somebody might offer me a load of money. You never know.
He's got Harlequins tattooed on his back.
Okay, quick question. Here we go. Hang on, let me try and get through it. Okay, we'll go for this one first. What will you miss when Brownie goes?
A lot, for sure. I was sad the day that got announced. I was sad when he let me know. As I said, I remember one of my first training sessions. He came up to me, and I think everyone's got this perception about Brownie being a hard, unhappy man and not smiling a lot. And I think that's only when he's on the field. He's one of the biggest competitors I've ever met, and the standards he drives in the week, the messages he delivers, and the tone of his voice gets the best out of a lot of people. And we'll definitely miss him off the field, and then on the field, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what you're going to miss. He's the best in the world under the high ball. He's the best in the world at defence. He's attacking brilliantly this year. He's the best in the world over the ball. We're definitely going to miss him a lot. But I'm sure I'm sure the club have thought about it, and I'm sure it was a tough decision again for the club. But I'm sure our younger players in our squad, in Louis Liner, Tyrone, and Aaron, will try their very best for sure to fill those shoes, which are huge to fill. And yeah, we'll miss them a lot. But we still got a lot of work to do this year. And I know Brownie spoke to me the other day, is very desperate to finish on a high, and we're all desperate to finish on a high for him, because he's a Quins legend, and probably he's the biggest Quins legend ever.
No, fair. Slightly technical question. Don't spend too long in it. How do you avoid charge downs? And I don't know whether that's directed specifically at you for a reason, but I don't think so. I think that's unfair. But it's clearly, is it a comms thing? Is it a depth thing? What's your feeling on it?
Yeah, so you need appropriate depth. Again, it's about reading if the defense is going to come with hotline speed or not. And then it's about the trajectory of your kick. If there's a big fella in front of you, you can't go too low. But it's a balance, because you want to kick a low kick to have less time in the air for the fullback. So yeah, it is a balance, and I think the key thing is kicking when on your terms, when the defense isn't ready for you to kick, gives you a lot more time. I've been charged down a few times, but it's one of them. You learn by experience about dummying them and your depth and kicking off both feet, which I guess will give you different tools to avoid people charging you down.
Perfect. Right, easy question for you to answer, but you've got to be really, really honest about it. Okay, which football team do you follow?
Brighton.
I knew you were wearing your shirt, which is why I gave you that opportunity. Yeah, that's pretty easy. I mean, being a City fan, obviously I'm used to success, so
Yeah, when you bought it. It's Harry's model, mate.
Yeah.
It's right. Fair play.
This is a good question. I like this one. So, who would be your ideal opponents in the Prem final this summer, the Heineken Cup final next year, and the World Cup in 2023, in which you'll be involved in all three?
Thank you, whoever said that. So yeah, this final, I would like to beat Bristol in the semi and Exeter in the final. And then Heineken Cup next year, I'd like to beat Racing or Sarries in the final. Sarries would be brilliant if they get back up. Fingers crossed they don't. If they get back up, Sarries in the final. And then in 2023, touch wood, I'm hopefully there. France would be nice. They beat me at 20s level over there, and they've obviously got a brilliant squad at the minute, and they're going to be a couple of years more experienced as well. So I'm sure they'll be there or thereabouts, and it'll be nice to play against some people and some guys I've played against before and get one up on them for sure.
Okay, another interesting question for you. Did you always play fly half?
No, so I used to be a lot smaller than I am now, so I used to play scrum half. But then, as any young English kid's dream, Johnny Wilkinson's obviously the biggest name in English rugby, and for me, I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to play in that position. I wanted to kick the goals. I wanted to do all the stuff he did. So I moved pretty sharpish to fly half when I was 10 or 11 from scrum half. But yeah, a lot of people said for me to stay at scrum half, but I wanted to be like Johnny, so I moved to fly half.
And who do you feel a similar responsibility to probably what Johnny's felt for the last 25 years in regards to, there's loads of kids out there. I know I've got one in my house who's 12 years old, who says, yeah, I want to be like Marcus Smith. What does that feel like?
Yeah, I try not to think about that. It is weird and it is a little bit weird when I walk around Brighton and I get noticed by someone or someone like that. It is strange. I got to pinch myself a little bit. But yeah, I try not to think about that, mate. I've still got a lot to achieve in rugby, hopefully. But yeah, it is nice that young kids and young people look up to me. It is a massive honour, and I just hope I do them proud on the weekend, and I hope I'm a good role model for them. But yeah, it's obviously nice to hear those things, but yeah, it's very strange thinking about it.
I know you sort of aspire to be like me, so
yeah, maybe. The hair, maybe.
What did your dad send you off for?
Oh, back chat to the referee.
Yeah, I know exactly how he feels. I get the same with mine.
Yeah. My father like son though, G.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's every now and again it's been known that I might have a bit to say about refereeing.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've been sent off more times than me in professional.
I've never actually managed it yet, but okay. Technical question again. Does being a professional mean your nutrition needs to be tip top?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it's massively important in terms of I need to be a certain weight. I need to be a certain shape to withstand all the hits and withstand the contacts in a week, and then as well as that on the weekend. So yeah, I do take my nutrition seriously. When I was a bit younger, I didn't really, and I've had to do a lot of catch-up work. I've been called a lot of names about my skin folds, which is a fat test that we do at Harlequins. But it's one of them things I'm taking very seriously now, and it's one of them 1%ers that hopefully makes the difference for me on a line break or in a tackle. So yeah, it is massively important, and I think the most important day is the day of recovery, to get as many calories as you can in, to repair your muscles and make you feel good for the next game.
Something that I obviously know is personal to you, so I'm going to ask it you because it's interesting. Talk me through your little obsession with tea and where that's come from.
Oh yeah, so when the Yargies came this year, the Argentinian boys, Martin and Santi, they were drinking this tea, this Argentinian green tea, which they drink in a nice flask, or drinking a nice little cup, I guess, with a straw, and they got a nice flask that comes with it. And I remember an away trip early doors when I first met them, they invited me to join them, and we had a couple of hours drinking the Argentinian tea, which made them feel like they were back at home whenever they got homesick. And for me, I like welcoming and meeting new cultures, and I took it upon myself to buy myself a flask and buy myself the whole kit, to for me, it was a big part of my week, because I used to eat a lot during the day. I used to snack a lot. So instead, I drink my Argentinian green tea, send them a couple of photos of it, and it stops you from eating in the hours of around 2 till 6 before I start cooking dinner. So, which has helped me loads with my body composition and losing my fat as well.
Yeah, I know we've got a few foodies on this call, so I kind of asked that question for that reason. So I'm sure they'll be.
Recommend it.
They've already messaged me to say that they love my hair, so I'm sure there's another message coming in a minute to say that they want to get involved in your tea obsession. Next question. Somebody's read about the fact that you toughened yourself up against Jamie, defending in training. What does it look like in regards to Andre?
Yeah, Andre's a bit more aggressive than Jamie, on and off the pitch. So he holds a bag whenever we do him, whereas Jamie did it without a bag. But yeah, both of them present the same picture for me. A big, tall guy, 100-odd kilos running at me. So I do still practice with him. Yeah, they're both similar carriers. I think Andre's doing a brilliant job for us as well. But they both helped me with my defense. So Jamie definitely did back then, and Andre's helping me as well, toughening me up and making me more physical, like a South African.
Mate, that hit on that poor kid George Barton at Gloucester, he'll remember that for the rest of his life, I reckon.
100%. That was a big one, wasn't it?
And I will laugh for a long, long time at Kenners' reaction on Quinn's life.
That was good, wasn't it? You got ripped into for that as well.
Right, I'm going to let you answer this question because somebody's put a question in here for me. Talk us through your role at the club, Graham.
Who's answering that? They asked you.
I'm going to let you answer it. But you got being all funny with me.
Yeah, so Graham's the operational team manager at Harlequins. He organises all our away trips. He gets a lot of stick for it, but actually does a brilliant job. Some funny stories are he told us to meet at the stoop at Surrey Sports Park, and the bus arrived at the stoop to take us on an away day, which was real funny, and he got a lot of stick on the group chat for that. But other than that, yeah, Graham's sort of the brains behind the whole operation. He manages all our bus journeys, he manages all our train rides, hotel stays, and this, that, and the other. And then on the touchline as well, he gives a lot of words of wisdom to myself and the rest of the team, as well as to the referees, which is good. He cheers pretty loud, But yeah, on a serious note, for me personally, Graham's been brilliant. He looks after me personally very well. He challenges me in different ways to be a better person, mainly, as well as a better player. He pushes me to challenge different people in the group as well. We have a lot of good, honest conversations. Graham and I do, and as well as that, he's a brilliant at his job as well. We're pretty organised as a club, and we're pretty on task, especially during these tough times with COVID and all the protocols we got to take. So Graham's been on top of all that, and touch wood, we've been very lucky with COVID cases this year, and I think a lot of that's down to G Bank and the guys he works with. But yeah, Graham obviously leads that.
That's very kind, mate. No, in answer to the question, I've forgotten even who answered it, if I'm honest with you. But now, pretty much, if I'm doing a good job, it means that nobody sees me. So that's probably the best thing about it. Really, is that the players effectively they need to play. They need to be able to train. They need to be able to do all the things that they need to do. The medical staff, they simply need to be able to treat and look after the players and get them out on the field. The conditioning guys, the coaches, all of those people who have sort of technical roles. Ultimately, it's kind of my job to sit behind it all and go, right, what is it you need? Make sure they've got it so they can do their jobs. If everybody's seeing me doing a whole lot of stuff out the front, then the summit tends to be going wrong, which is never good. So I kind of like to just sit behind there, and every now and again I wave my arms and shout encouragement on a Saturday afternoon. But yeah, no, it's one day I might have to get a real job. That's what I keep telling my son, so that he actually does his schoolwork. He's a little bit more intelligent than me, which is always good news. Do we have any more questions? Interesting question. What 3 things would you like to say in a year's time you have worked on and improved?
For me, managing games, and I think that comes down to a couple of things. Managing my mental resilience and regulating my emotion in key pressure moments, as well as executing skill under pressure. So goal kicks, my touch kicking, and decision making under pressure in big games and big pressure environments. That's one. Secondly, it's my defense. I want to make it a strength of mine. I think I'm brave enough to do that. For me, it's just about fine tuning my technique and finding different ways to surprise bigger attackers who think that they can get one over me. So I've been working hard on that front, and different ways to get the ball back. So ripping and intercepting, which I've been working on a lot with Jerry, and he's helping me loads on that. And then thirdly, I want to get a bit faster. I still think there's growth in my speed, and I want to take that to a new level that no one's ever seen before, so that when I can break the line, I can score myself, and make it a super strength of mine. Yeah.
Cool. Couple of quick questions before we wrap it up. What's your favourite Joe Marler outfit before the game at home games?
I really enjoyed his full silver one. He looked a bit like Ali G. That was class. Yeah, he brings a smile to my face. He looks after me, and that was hilarious when he turned up in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I just give people a little bit of a context of where that's come from. So we have a little bit of a rule that we like people to feel like they're individuals, and we want people to feel like they're comfortable. But obviously, we have sponsorship responsibilities, and we have to make sure that Adidas is part of what we're wearing on match day. So rather than saying that there's a very specific uniform, you have to turn up in these shorts and this hoodie. It's effectively be comfortable, but make sure you're in Adidas or Harlequins kit. And obviously, Joe being Joe will interpret it in any which way he fancies. Has literally gone out and found the most obscure Adidas gear you can find, and has decided to turn up looking like he's about to rob something. But as it is, look, I think it brings a little bit of joy to people's faces, and certainly mine. We're not going to change that in the future, so long as he keeps coming. But I have challenged the boys at some point to that maybe if we get into the semi-final, we all turn up dressed like that. I imagine that he might be a bit shocked at it, but yeah, that'd be quite cool. I think we have one more here, mate. So I am going to ask it. Have you got any pre-game rituals?
Yeah, so night before games, I like to have a big spaghetti dish. Normally it's spaghetti bolognese. But I've tried this one recently, chili pasta with chicken and spinach and prawns and chorizo. A lot of cream as well in there, and I like to have a Ben and Jerry's just before bed to sit in the hip before I sleep. And then before the game, I like to listen to my couple of songs on the team bus, and then I do a little lap around the pitch, throwing the ball around, listening to a song again. Which sort of gets me in the mood emotionally and gets me excited for the game.
How weird is the dressing room before the game? I don't think I'll ever get used to it.
What's wrong with it?
Just, I don't know. You probably weren't back in the day. Like I always find it really just cool. You know, if you were somebody who'd never been in there,
yeah.
You know, you've got all the island boys. You know, they put a shirt down and say a little prayer to the shirt, and some other idiot sort of whacking his head against the wall, you know, trying to get himself going. Like the contrast is just very, very bizarre.
No, I get. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's different people who do different things, and I think back in the day, from what my dad tells me, that everyone, it was sort of a one size fits all approach, and I think now, where we are at as a squad, as you said, G, we're lucky that we've got guys from different backgrounds, different walks of life, or different cultures from how they grew up. So they practice different things, and as you said, you got the Islanders praying in a corner, you got someone shouting, you got someone effing and blinding, and you got a couple of us just laughing and chilling out in the corner. So yeah, it's a weird mix, but as long as they pitch and turn up minute one of the game, then I don't think anyone will say anything.
No, absolutely, I agree. Listen, that's final question. Just one thing from me. Terry, I obviously know who you are. I know you sit right behind us on the bench there. He's on the call. He's suffering from cancer at the moment. Terry, all the very best, mate. Hope everything goes well. Hope to see you back at the stoop very, very soon. Sure, Marcus, you're pretty similar in terms of that.
Yeah, all the best, Terry. We're thinking of you, mate, as a squad, and we look forward to giving you a high five when I come off the pitch very soon. Cheers, mate. Good luck.
Cool. Marcus, I haven't learned a lot from you tonight because I kind of know you well, but I think you've been very, very honest, very straight with us. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your 22 years. And personally, given that I'm not allowed to leave Quins, I look forward to presenting you with something very special on your 400th appearance.
Fingers crossed, mate. Thank you, everyone, for your time.